Hey, Sean.
Hey, Bernie.
How you doing?
I'm good. Really excited to get this thing started.
I am too.
Yeah.
It's a new experience doing a podcast for us.
Yep. We have been talking about this for a while, and what this is this is something that's been kind of on your brain for a long time about Castle Rock. And then when we met, what was that? 8 months ago?
Well, we started talking about it maybe 6 months ago,
Yep.
but Sean and I have been working together for, almost a year now?
Yeah. I think it was it'll be a year in November. So, we've been talking about this for a while, and it's something that we're both passionate about, and we decided to just do it. So, today's going to be our first episode, and the name of our podcast, or I guess let me introduce myself, and I'll let Bernie introduce himself. My name is Sean Pooley. I live here in Castle Rock. I grew up here, and I run a little marketing agency called Nanopulse Digital, and I help small companies kind of grow their businesses. That's what I do, and I'm passionate about where I live. I love it here. Like I said, I graduated from high school here, and I chose to stay for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But that's who I am, and yeah, Bernie, you want to introduce yourself too?
Of course. I'm Bernie Greenberg. I co-own a law firm in downtown Castle Rock called Kokish Goldmanis Greenberg. I've lived here for many years. Love living in Castle Rock, love working in Castle Rock, love downtown Castle Rock. I guess the easiest thing to say is I love Castle Rock for many, many different reasons. But I've been thinking for years about a podcast about Castle Rock to showcase the town, how incredible the town is. And when I started talking to Sean about this, the idea that came forward is that the town is the star. The town is this incredible place, not perfect, but incredible for many reasons. Our topography, our recreation, our parks, our collaborative decision-making approaches, our people, our businesses, pretty much everything make it great, even though it's not perfect. So what Sean and I were talking about is, why not put a podcast together to showcase that, to bring it to a wider audience, and to celebrate not only where the town came from, but where we are now and where we're headed, maybe.
Yep.
Because we don't know what the future holds. So that kind of led into the title of our podcast and our tagline, which I'm going to let Sean introduce.
Yeah, sure. So our title is Castle Rock Generations, and that just showcases, in my mind, the progress, and it captures the time aspect of what Castle Rock is. It's timeless, you could say. And our tagline is honoring yesterday, embracing today, and imagining tomorrow. And for some people might see that as a little bit on the cheesy side, but it really encapsulates the emotion that's associated with what we feel for our town, and what the people that we talk to, what they feel about the town. And that's really what we want to capture here. And that brings me into why I'm doing this, because I want to capture what Castle Rock is for me and for my family and for who I am, and for what I think it can be for just society in general, not just like our town. And of course we're going to talk about just Castle Rock, because Castle Rock's amazing, that's where we are, but I think it really is a shining example, a shining star, if you will, right, of what society and community can be because of how everything works here, how we work together. And I've talked with Bernie about this so many times, but I really feel that my generation has a pretty pessimistic attitude towards the future, and towards community, and towards other people. Like I hear people in my age group say, "Oh, people suck." They say that all the time. "Oh, people suck." But I don't feel that way in Castle Rock, and I don't feel that way about our community. I don't feel that people in Castle Rock suck. You know what I mean? Like I don't have that anger, that resentment towards others that many of my generation have, because they haven't had this experience of living here and of working with the people here. So that's why I'm doing it. I want to show people that, and I want to showcase Castle Rock in that way.
And it's a great thing, Sean, coming from your generation. And you know, a lot of generations will say people suck, but there's something about Castle Rock that it's not true here, for the most part. But there's some great things about Castle Rock. Again, like we say, it's not perfect, but it's great, and that's what we intend to showcase. Showcase is the great. I'm a big believer that we want to understand history in every situation, and Castle Rock's history is pretty cool. You know,
Yeah.
we're out of the Old West, railroad town. We'll do some podcasts in the future about our past, which is cool. We'll be over at the Castle Rock History Museum. We'll talk about the incredible Continental Divide Raceways, which is no longer here, but helped shape the way the town is. And just, pretty much everything that the town is originated from that Old West history. I know you're a culture guy, you like culture. And there's not much richer than Old West culture. As we walk around the town, and we'll do some live broadcasts on podcasts in the future, we're going to see people in cowboy hats. We'll see people in pretty much all different types of dress. I think recently we had Batman on the street, and he was featured on social media. So you never know who you're going to run into here in Castle Rock.
There's a guy that I know that wears a kilt, like as often as he can, and anytime he's dressing formally, he wears a kilt. There's a lot of people that just like have different. I don't know. There's just a lot of culture here, like you said. Even though it's like maybe a little gimmicky for him, it's interesting, and there's a lot of people that have a lot of experience around the world that come back here. And I know Bernie's been around the world and met people that know Castle Rock in all sorts of places. So it's an interesting place. It's an interesting place to live. There's so much rich culture and people to be around.
And we'll tell some of those stories as we continue to bring you more and more episodes. But let's talk a little bit about the tagline. So we just talked about honoring our history. What's the next line of our tagline?
Yeah, so honoring yesterday is the first one. Embracing today. So this is really about helping people to understand what there is out there in our community, and recognizing, sure, there's some problems, but recognizing the beauty of where we live and what we have going for us. And I feel like it's been interesting getting to know Bernie, even though I've lived here for many, many years. I moved here when I was very young. I was 8 years old or so. But getting to know Bernie, he knows all these like little secrets of Castle Rock. Like every corner, I feel like something that we could do, or some opportunity or something interesting. And there's so much of that. Even though every once in a while, like when I was in high school, some people would say, "Oh, there's nothing to do in Castle Rock," which is just so not true. It's mind blowing that people think that, because there's so much to do, so many different opportunities, especially like now. And that's the beauty of embracing today. We can go out and find all these little niche spots and teach everybody about them, because that's the way that we work here, is that nothing's like a super big secret. Everyone should be able to enjoy it.
Well, and there's so many different choices in Castle Rock. We have an absolutely amazing craft brewery situation here.
Yeah.
I'm blown away with a town our size to have so many craft breweries. We have a magic theater, which has been here for more than 2 decades. A lot of people don't know, but they bring in some of the finest magic acts from around the world. I was talking to Sean before we started the podcast this morning. He didn't even
Never
know
heard of
about
that.
it.
Yeah.
So we have that. We have award-winning parks, including the anchor of downtown, Festival Park. Sean has some amazing stories about what has happened in his life because of Festival Park. We have one of the best zip line courses in the world right here in Castle Rock. We have an incredible music amphitheater up at P.S. Miller Park. We have this burgeoning, emerging art scene. We have murals on some of our most famous buildings. So just pretty much any time you turn around, there's something to do, something to see, something to experience. From one of my passions, cycling, incredible cycling trails, mountain bike trails, hiking, running. Sean's a pickleball guy, And I learned recently that Castle Rock is almost the epicenter of pickleball in the Front Range of Colorado. So we're going to do an episode on pickleball. We'll do an episode on cycling. We'll do a craft brewery episode. I believe our next guest is the mayor of Castle Rock, Jason Gray, who just is an absolutely amazing guy. So we have lots of Castle Rock stories to bring to you. We'll bring The Rock, you know,
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. No.
the geographic feature.
Yeah.
The Rock. Maybe we can get Dwayne Rock.
Yeah, someday.
But we'll see. I think we need to have a few more likes on the podcast.
Yep.
But we'll talk more about that as we go along. But we have a college here that didn't used to be here. So just the things that exist today, we'll be doing many episodes about. So that I think is what we talk about in terms of embracing today.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, so another thing that I'm into other than pickleball's, I love pickleball, but my main hobby is actually really nerdy. I play tabletop war games. So if you've heard of Warhammer, I play games similar to that. But we have a gaming store here that's one of the largest, like, in the Denver area, like Denver, Castle Rock, Colorado Springs, all of them combined. It's one of the larger spots for people to come and play games. And so pretty often we have tournaments here. Like, I mean, Bernie, probably you never heard of that until you met me, but like, you know, we're getting people from all over Colorado, sometimes a lot of the time out of state, to come play these big board games, to compete in these tournaments. You know, we have people that are they go to the world championships for these games that live right around here, that come to our gaming store to play and practice and go and play, because we're kind of this hot spot for it, because we have Denver and Colorado Springs equidistant from each other. You know, we're right smack dab in the middle, and so we end up being kind of a little epicenter for you know, board games, or pickleball is a great example, right? You talked about how it's like and it really is, because there's a huge community here that plays, but then people in Colorado Springs and Denver come here to play tournaments, or you know, tons of different things. There's so many different hobbies and interests that people have that are like centered right here in Castle Rock. We have like a dive shop here that is like a huge dive shop. They do trips all the time, and you wouldn't guess it, but like, you know, we're actually pretty popular for the, when I say dive, I mean like scuba diving, which is hilarious.
I haven't even told you this story yet, but I was on the way to Cozumel many years ago, and sat next to a guy, and I said, you know, are you going to Cozumel to dive? And he said, yes. I said, where are you from? He goes, Castle Rock. Wait a minute, that's what? So really incredible stories. We'll be bringing those to you. You talked about how people around the world have heard of Castle Rock. I was in Juneau, Alaska with my wife, Julie, and we were on a little tour, and the bus driver was asking people where they were from, and we said Castle Rock, and he literally went crazy. Castle Rock, and he started talking about the outlet mall. Like, wow. And then after doing a little bit of research, I came to learn that Castle Rock's outlet mall is one of the top 10 tourist attractions of the entire state of Colorado.
It's hilarious.
So just things that we don't think about that other people find amazing about Castle Rock. We're going to talk about those, bring those to you.
Yep. And
really all the different features of Castle Rock that turn Castle Rock into the star.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really what I'm like. Yeah, I just love that idea of embracing today, because we have so many things to rejoice about, so many things to celebrate, so many wins that, you know, people that we can honor from yesterday, right? All the hard work that's gone into building Castle Rock into what it is have created what it is today, and we want to embrace it. We want to love it, and that's really what that part of the tagline is about.
Our next piece of the tagline is imagining tomorrow, which is really about the future, what we think the future might bring.
Yep.
That's always hard to predict. I think Castle Rock will have more people, but I also think it will always retain the small town feel.
Yep.
And that's what brings so many people here anyways, is the fact that we are a small town. We have the small town history of being out of the Old West, an old railroad town, and our ability to keep our small town feel and our small town experiences and small town life like star lighting
Yep.
in November of every year. What could be a better celebration of small town life than lighting the star at the top of the rock every year to kick off the Christmas season?
Yep.
So we're bringing those kinds of things to you as we bring you different community leaders in upcoming episodes. We'll talk more about things that are coming to Castle Rock and how those will benefit the town moving forward.
Yep. Something that I think is that happens here in Castle Rock that's happened to me for a few years is we feel like a lot of the time people feel like what happens in their community just happens to them. And something Bernie told me at one point, and I think you were quoting somebody, you said, everything that's happened here is on purpose, right? It was part of a plan, and it was very intentional, but people feel like it just is happening. And that's just not the case. And something I want to bring to the podcast and bring to our viewers, if there are any, is I want people to feel like they're a part of what's going on in terms of the development and the future planning, so that you can imagine tomorrow and say, yeah, I'm still going to want to live in Castle Rock 10 years from now because I know what it's going to look like and it's going to be awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I love that hope for the future, and being able to imagine you here in the future, I think is what that imagining of tomorrow is the essence of.
It makes the future hopeful.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how people in your generation are pessimistic about the future.
Mm-hmm.
To be in a community like Castle Rock involves positivity about the future.
Yep, exactly. And I'm really excited to chat with the mayor on our next episode, because I think he's going to bring a lot of that positivity, and we'll be able to talk with him of what his experience has been like, what his view of yesterday, of our history is, what he sees us as today, how his view of Castle Rock is, and what he sees our tomorrow to be like. And every time we have a guest on the show, we plan on asking them some of those questions to try and get their idea of their sense of where we were, where we are, and where we're going.
I think that's what's going to make this exciting, an exciting adventure for both Sean and I to do, but also to bring to you. And we want you to be part of it. And here's how we want you to be part of it. First of all, click that bell. Subscribe to our podcast so you make sure that you get our episodes in the future. If you like what we're doing, click that like button below. Leave us a comment. We'll always read the comments. We'll feature some of the comments in upcoming shows.
Yep.
And I think it would be fun to pick several of the commenters out and even bring them on the show.
Yeah. If you have some sort of interesting insight, I think it's important to showcase that. Even if you're outside of the community, like if you're in an outside perspective or whatever, it might be a good idea to bring you on.
I don't know how we're going to fly that guy in from Spain who's commenting, but
probably not, but we can do a Zoom. But something that's really important is if you find something interesting or something piques your interest, send it to somebody. If you see our interview with the mayor, or you're watching this right now and you're like, man, I'm excited, send it to your friends or family and just be like, wow, they're going to show us the ins and outs and the background of what's going on in our town. And that's really what we want to do. And so send it to somebody and get this thing rolling, because the more people that are watching, the more access we have to different resources and the people that we can show, and different features of Castle Rock that we can support.
And if you've got an idea for an episode, one that we haven't thought of, send that in as well. Put it in the comments. We'd be happy to consider doing an episode about ideas that we haven't thought of before. Sean and I like to talk about how there's things we discover every day about Castle Rock that we had no idea were here.
Yep.
Help us discover those things too. So put it in the comments below, hit that bell up above, give us a like, and we look forward to seeing you on future episodes.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
So long.